Next thing on the agenda is public comment. There is a sign-in sheet. The clerk's going to call your name. Obviously, no personal attacks, so you will have 2 minutes to speak.
There are good reasons why you do not, I repeat, do not have to give your name during public comments. You can say whatever you like. Don't kneel to these parasites.
So I just want to thank them. They came, they got it. We tried to get it off, but we didn't have that special tool. So thanks, Philip, and that guy that came and helped. That was tremendous.
Not one mention of Doug Harless, one of the biggest news stories in America, soon to be the world. This image speaks volumes.
Council, we did have one other person that wants to speak that did not sign in. Will you guys object to that, or will you allow it?
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Okay. They've allotted you 2 minutes.
For those of us who look at social media and stuff, we understand that 3 days ago that Jimmy Phelps made a post about the sidewalks and the good old boy system.
Speaking to him, is he a mafia boss?
Then little Douglas Phelps said they're too busy playing political propaganda games and photo ops for such things. I would just like to know, and you liked that comment, which means you agreed with it. I would just like to know which rescue squad, fire department member, police member was doing propaganda and photo ops.
I didn't do that for a photo op or propaganda.
No.
You know, one of the
Douglas Phelps made that comment, and you liked it, which meant you agreed with it. That's at least when I like something, I agree with it. So I'm just asking you, because you're running for council,
Okay.
who in the rescue squad or fire department was doing it for propaganda and photo ops?
No. You know, I would not be opposed.
Did you catch that?
I would not be opposed with you have the business down the street that does.
We're not talking about my business.
Okay, but
we're
what I'm
talking
saying-
about.
Mr.
you
O'Bannon,
said-
this is a public comment, not a public
And you've asked me,
Q&A.
and I'm
And
I can't
just
talk to
because
the
you
council.
like something, if Mr. Baker likes something.
Listen,
does
I
not
wasn't
mean-
going to address you, but the irony
I
of
move
you
to
telling
adjourn.
them.
The disrespect of this board is off the charts. It stinks of corruption.
But the irony
I
of
move
you
to
telling
adjourn.
them, the irony of you telling the public that you would not pre-approve an
Mr.
ordinance
Ortega?
when
Yes.
earlier
Mr.
in the
Young?
evening you said let's
Baker?
pre-approve
Yes.
an
Ms.
ordinance.
House?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Thanks for your answer, Mr. Baker. It was very revealing.
Very, very illuminating. Very, very illuminating.
It breaks our heart every time we hear them gunshots. We have to watch that every day, knowing our brother was on the other side of that door.
Just 2 days before Christmas, Doug Harless's family says he was asleep inside his home when nearly a dozen officers surrounded it. The time was 11:50 p.m. Surveillance video from a neighbor captured London police banging on Harless's door and announcing themselves. By 11:51, officers are seen moving around on Harless's porch as others move to different positions around his home. Then, 5 gunshots. The attorneys representing Harless's family say these shots hit his head, heart, right lung, aorta, and pulmonary artery.
And still, nearly 2 years after Doug's murder, we have not seen the search warrant.
This is 511 Vanzant Road, where KSP says the shooting happened. But according to Laurel County dispatch audio we've obtained, London police were attempting to serve a search warrant for this house, 489 Vanzant.
Why is the city police patrolling and serving warrants in the county?
I mean, I could see if it was somebody hurting somebody or, fighting or something like that, but not over a weed eater.
Under the express, authority of the KSP, they have asked us not to say anything regarding this investigation. It is an open investigation. That is the only reason we have not made any statements regarding this, because, again, they're investigating it. It's not that we're trying to cover up. It's not that we are trying not to be transparent. Again, when the findings are done with the KSP, I can assure you that anything that the findings are, if there's any wrongdoing, accountability will be there. I think in a whole, everybody's wanting answers to what happened that night. Internally, we're stepped away from this, and I'm not even asking the officers and them a lot of questions because, again, it's an open investigation, and I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to interfere with anything. I believe they know how to do their jobs, and I believe that, that until somebody shows me differently, that they executed it the way that it should have been done. I don't have the information to do anything. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. And I don't believe that we should live in a society that we convict someone and then rule judgment and store them away in a jail cell or fire them without having all the facts. Because what if the facts come out that they did nothing wrong that night? I want every document, every piece of item, I want it somewhere on the website. I want it somewhere people can look at this and see it themselves. Whether it makes us look bad or it vindicates us. Either way, it needs to be put out there.
I could pick this apart. However, I'll hasten to say, what a load of bullshit.
The Constitution requires that before police officers execute a warrant at a home, that they have to undertake a reasonable effort to ascertain and identify the place intended to be searched. The 1987 Supreme Court case of Maryland versus Garrison holds that police officers are constitutionally required not to enter a residence when they are put on notice of the risk that they might lack authorization to enter and search it. You can help by making sure that everyone that you know learns about what happened to Doug Harless and that the authorities in Kentucky are trying to cover it up, from the Kentucky State Police all the way down to the London Police Department. They're hiding the truth. They're hiding behind a special prosecutor. They're playing dumb, yet the truth is obvious. A lawsuit was filed, but I'm worried here that the family chose the wrong lawyers. This is the first time that I've ever reached out to attorneys for information, where they've just straight up ignored multiple emails and phone calls. Yet they'll give Zoom interviews with the local DV News. Additionally, they filed their lawsuit in state court, so basically in the very courthouse where everyone works who needs to be held accountable. It should have been filed in federal court. Now, the defense attorneys apparently removed it to federal court anyways. Even they don't trust the local court system to handle the case, apparently. And it's a shame because I know the Institute for Justice was interested in taking the case for free, and I'm sure they also could have hired Chris Wiest to take the case as well. But it is what it is, and hopefully they end up stumbling their way to the truth and some justice in this case.
489 Van Zant Road. Units on scene, 10 serve search warrant. Call on the radio for assistance. Shots fired. 489 Van Zant Road.
When they got there, did they not communicate with each other of someone, are we at the correct address?
Chatter going back and forth between the first responders is, hey, shots have been fired. They're executing a search warrant at 489 Van Zant Road. He had two cars parked in the driveway. And if you get stopped for an ordinary traffic ticket, they will run your plates to see who that vehicle is registered to, whether it might be stolen. Two vehicles there. They apparently didn't check that.
Are you scared that if there was wrongdoing, it'll come back negatively on you, so you're trying to protect somebody?
No, absolutely not. I'm man enough that if I have done something wrong or if my administration has done something wrong, then we need to fix it.
Weddle and Day say they're waiting for answers, just like the rest of the London community.
You know KSP, you are a reporter. They're not giving you nothing, just like they're not coming and sitting down and telling me anything, because they're investigating this, it's involving this city. If a valid, factual report comes back from that great organization, state police, and says wrongdoing was done, heads will roll at that PD.
Are we willing to make both personnel and policy changes if the facts come out and that is what's deemed necessary?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Necessary?
Yes, absolutely.
After WKYT obtained and aired surveillance video of London police officers at Harless's home the night he was killed, people asked us why officers were serving a warrant tied to stolen lawn equipment so late at night and why they needed so many officers to do it. WKYT has yet to see a copy of the warrant, and Chief Day says he hasn't seen it either. But he doesn't know what else, along with that stolen lawn equipment, could have been on it.
Did it also say drugs? Did it also say weapons? Did it also say all those things? Because the response to that investigation or that scenario is based a lot on what was there. Now, to your point, if it was just a weed eater, we use that as an example, or if it was just a, something just a, is that warrant? And those things have to be decided after the fact. But was it for lots of stolen equipment? Was it for drugs? Was it for guns? What was it for? And those things figure into it.
I think in my mind, if it was about a weed eater, maybe it was much manpower. But if that warrant says something different, it was for something else, I don't know.
Why there were so many officers there that night is just one of many questions Chief Day says will be answered when KSP's findings are released.
Was there jurisdiction or was there not? Was it a reasonable investigation? Was it not that led up to that? Was there a warrant? Was it signed by a judge? Was that warrant descriptive? How much work did or did not go into it? What circumstances transpired on the porch, at the location? All those things are going to come out.
We knew from police that the officer who shot Harless was placed on administrative leave that night. Their name has not been released, but rumors have swirled that the officer was taken off of leave and even given a raise since the shooting. Chief Day says none of that is true.
That person remains on administrative leave, and that person did not get a raise after this scenario happened.
A large part of this story is the confusion over where this shooting happened. In dispatch audio we've obtained, dispatchers are heard repeatedly saying officers were at 489 Van Zant Road. Harless's home is marked 511 Van Zant Road, but Laurel County PVA Don McFadden says the official structure address is 489 Van Zant. London Police Department policy regarding search warrants say a warrant affidavit should particularly describe the house or place to be searched, including address and physical description of the exterior. Quote, a photo of the location is often an invaluable aid. It should also describe and name any person to be seized or searched. I asked Chief Day if he was serving a warrant and the marking on the home didn't match the address on that warrant, if it would create pause.
My preferred warrant procedure is the number doesn't necessarily tell me where the location is. The description tells me what the house is.
For example, Day says if every house on the block is white, but one is red brick.
It sits 1.2 miles from wherever. It's on the right side of the road. It has black shutters, black roof, blah, 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 blah. Then the numerical, it's obviously applicable, but that just goes along with that.
Day says he believes the test of a good search warrant is whether you could give it to any law enforcement agency and they could find the right place.
With or without a number, can I take that description and go to this house?
I've been to Doug Harless's home and my GPS took me there just fine. So any of these kind of comments, they seem like red herrings.
Ashley Abaray is an attorney at Thomas Law Offices representing the Harless family alongside attorney Thomas Mann.
He left behind 2 daughters. By the time the family heard anything about it, they received a telephone call literally on Christmas Eve saying, by the way, Dad got shot and killed in his home last night.
1 year later, Mann says the family, like the public, still has many unanswered questions. In the meantime, they filed a lawsuit against the city, the police department, and the officers dispatch records show were involved.
So ultimately, this was a botched investigation, a violation of Mr. Harless's rights. They had no right to be on his property. They had no right to search his home. They certainly had no right to barge into his home. and take his life in the way that they did. So we brought claims for violation of constitutional rights, as well as some state law claims related to the duties that they breached, that the London Police Department breached that night, in regards to the investigation and all of that.
There are also claims for the emotional distress the family is going through. The attorneys say they're working off of limited information, but through public records, they've been able to gather some details. Police officers weren't wearing body cameras at the time. The department purchased cameras in 2016, but stopped using them in 2023, partially due to cost. Since WKYT's reporting, department policy changed and new body cameras were purchased for all officers.
Our condolences to the family and friends. Rest in peace, Doug. And thanks for watching. Stay blessed. Peace.